1st, we launched a new field-based reporting system and a records management system at the same time. This system is probably the greatest change in the way we do things in the police department that's happened, at least in my career, in the last 33 years. We're changing the way we report every incident, the way we categorize the information, and then the way we manage our cases from here on out. And it all changed in 1 minute. So this all started about 4 years ago when we purchased had the contract to purchase the system. We purchased it, then went through all kinds of changes and adaptations, and for the last 2 years, we have been training the 3,500 people in the department on how to use it and providing a practice environment for them to practice it. Unfortunately for us, we probably underestimated the impact that it was going to have on certain functions, and we created bottlenecks for ourselves. A lot of it is user error, in that people that were trained 18 months ago forgot what they were trained on 18 months ago and just flat forgot how to do things. So that we're on the steep side of the learning curve right now. And that doesn't only apply to the officers reporting it, it applies to everybody that has to review it. Staff review, the UCR unit, jail sergeants, the sergeants at the civilian or the inebriate detention center. All those people were way behind on exactly what kind of impact this was going to have. So as problems came up, and some of the problems you asked about were some of the first ones we had, it's taking officers a long time to get this report done. It's taking forever for the jail sergeant to approve these reports. As those problems came up, we began investigating to see why we were having the problems. Some of it was hardware issues, that we didn't have computers that were up to handling this robust system. So we fixed, in those places where we've identified those problems, we've tried to fix them. Some of them were just business processes, where our business process in the past showed this report had to go from A to B to C, was creating a bottleneck at B. So we made workaround solutions to handle that, and that was the other way. And then flat training. Training's been the biggie. We have a 9-person training team that was responsible for training all 3,500 people in the department. We split them up into 3 shifts, and they've been working around the clock for the last 11 days on a helpline set up for officers, sergeants, staff review, everybody that's having problems with the system. In addition, we've sent some of those training members to the jail, to the city detention center, staff review, legal, and UCR to individually work with people and provide training for them. So, and we've provided training manuals on our intranet and at places where officers do reports. So to try and get a handle on the training shortfall that we saw. So in the beginning, there were delays at the jail in getting stuff approved. Officers probably did spend a long time there. In the last 11 days, that has dropped off dramatically. We're noticing that staff review is getting through reports quicker. We're having less and less calls from the jail each day. So things seem to be getting better. We knew this was going to have a big impact on the department. We were just a little bit short on our expectations of how big an impact it was going to be.
Would it surprise you to hear, Major, that I've talked with officers, just rank and file, and they're just frustrated that how is it that it could take so long to go through this? They say some pages pop up. If you're on an assault call, it'll pop up burglary stuff, and they're like, why do I have to fill out? You got to clear all of that. And they're saying that not only is it they're not really up to speed on it, but it's like it's throwing them curveballs because it's like property crime, and they're like, this is not a property crime. Does that make sense?
We've had some of that, and without a real specific, I couldn't give you a real specific answer, but we've had stuff pop up like that, like why does this happen when I send it forward? Or it's not, or we'd have a big problem we had at first with people sending reports forward and getting to staff review and they had no criminal offense name. And the officer said, I put the offense name there and I sent it forward. Unless you save the page as you complete them and then you have to validate your report. It tells you all the mistakes you made, and then you submit it to the next step. Well, officers were just submitting it without the proper name in it. When it gets over there, it has blank. So, but staff review, we found out anybody over there at that end can then fix the title, or a detective can fix the title. But we sent a bunch back to the officers at first. For a while, we had over 600 reports that had been sent back to officers, waiting for them to correct them and send them back in. That has gone way down to less than 200. So we're making some headway.
What would you say to officers who I've talked to who say, you know what, unless it's absolutely necessary, I'm not going to make an arrest?
I would say that's very unfortunate. If there's an offense that's been committed there's an arrest needs to be made, they need to make the arrest. I talk to other officers who say, hey, it's working. It's a little slow because I'm not familiar with it, but it's doing what it's supposed to do. And that's what we're noticing, is that the system is doing what it's supposed to do. We're noticing hang-ups, and we're trying to address them as we go along. In addition to our training team and our help office that we have people from Communications Information Services, and we have representatives from our vendor that are there also. And we've made changes on the fly with our vendor about certain things, and they've made corrections that have actually, if I don't want to get too technical, because I don't even understand some of it, it's like to increase the download time when a reviewer wants to review a series of cases. To download was taking up to 10 minutes to download some into an inbox before they could review it. Well, we've shortened that time down to seconds now. Within 30 seconds, they can download some information. And so the review time has started to really shrink. And as they get more familiar with the system, it'll go faster and faster.
Now, in fairness to you guys, you said when you launched this thing, hey, we're going to have hiccups. I mean, we fully expect that, and like you're saying, you guys are ready to address them. How can you explain, as not getting too technical, but how is it that some of these prisoners got released?
Okay, the district attorney's office has a policy. If a person's in jail for 72 hours and we don't file a case, they release them on a dry writ, it's called. And all the detective the groups know about this. So if they have to file a case within 72 hours, the paperwork has to get there. On this, what had happened was, and I only know of 3 specific cases that it happened on, that the case was in there and the detectives couldn't see it on their side. In both it's actually, both cases, as soon as the detectives realized that a guy had been released, they refiled the case on their own, outside or through the system, refiled it, walked the warrants, and gave the warrants to our Metro unit to go track the guys down and catch them. So within hours, we tried to correct it on both of those situations.
And again, these weren't violent criminals, these were property crimes. Correct?
Property crimes.
Gotcha.
So we recognized that we had an issue in that all these things on hold. So we've developed some workarounds at the jail, where the jail is keeping a list now of people that have been arrested and the offenses that they're sending out to the investigative units every shift so that they know to look for those specific cases. If it's a case where a detective has actually gone out in the field on it or been called on it, like a homicide or sexual assault, something like that, mostly a crimes against persons, if they've gone out, they know the case number already. So as soon as they're back to their office, they're looking for that case number anyway. So we haven't seen that, thank goodness, in that case right now. Because if the detective already knows what the case number is, they're looking for it every time they come to work. And if they don't see it, they can call staff review and say, staff, this is in your queue. It's an important high-profile case. Could you review it real quickly so that we can update it?
Okay. And then if you would just kind of explain, I mean, I remember when y'all were launching, you talking this is going to be the greatest thing, like you said. I mean, 33 years you've been here. This is going to, y'all are going to communicate with the DA's office and Dallas County and DPD and put you on the same page electronically, correct?
Yeah, and eventually that'll happen. Right now, we have to validate that all the information we're putting into the system, all the little bits of information go into the correct tables that they're supposed to go into. And then when we want to look into those to pull that data out, that we're pulling from the right tables to look at the data again. And once that's all correct, then we'll start publishing crime statistics again. The public portals will be open, but we want to make sure the information, we have a responsibility to make sure the information is accurate that we're going to release. And that's what we're spent doing right now, is making sure that the information is going where it's supposed to and that it's accurate. So once we've accomplished that, then we'll release it. And then we've been working with the county. Eventually, what we want to be able to do is, once our cases are done and they've been approved and legal, is we want to basically send them an electronic message with all of our cases. So if we have 100 cases that need to go to the DA, they will just select them, send it, and it'll shoot it across the electronic highway to the DA's office. They will then count, yes, we got all 100 cases, we received them, and everybody's happy. That is still to come. We're working with them to make sure that our new system was talked to their new system in the same language, and some technical stuff that I don't understand, and that the pipe's big enough to send that much information at one time, and we think it is.
How long can we expect before the system is going to be working properly?
It's working properly right now. Now, before we can release, we start releasing statistics and reports, we estimated it would be a month. That we told everybody to wait give us until July 1st. We were hoping by then to have everything validated and ready to go.
How long can we expect for it to take for the system, the bottlenecks and the issues that have arisen will be worked out? Because obviously there's a problem going on out there.
Well, and it's slow. I'll admit it's slow. Every opportunity we can find, we're looking for ways to get by, work around it or work through it or speed it up. And we've gotten better over the last 11 days. I would anticipate by the end of the month that we will have everything ironed out, and there should be no delays. Now, if that means that we need to increase staffing in certain places because it actually takes longer to review stuff now, or we're sending more stuff to review, to staff review, or where it is, then maybe that has to be part of the solution, is for us to increase staffing.
One more, one of the police association heads is saying, look, with all the issues that have arisen, they should be taken offline until y'all work these things out. What would you say to that?
I would say it's impossible. 4 hours into the new system, we made the decision that it was working, that things were going into the right tables and where they were supposed to go, and we turned off the link system, and it cannot be turned back on.
When you say you might have to increase staffing, where do you pull that staffing?
That'd be a good question. I don't know. We maybe put from direct entry. If direct entry is not being used nearly as much, then we could it would be an upgrade in positions for them to go to staff review. But we'll look at everywhere. Where there may be excess now due to the system working correctly. We may not need as many people in direct entry, but we need more in staff review. So we'll look at that, and then if it comes to it, outright hiring.
Is this your project, your baby?
I wish I could claim it. No, it is now. This started 4 years ago. It's had numerous lieutenants and people over it in the past 4 years. I just happened to be the lucky person when we kicked it off. So I guess I am the person.
Can you mentioned that the training process has gone on for, I guess, 2 years?
Yes.
Can you describe what that has entailed for the officers?
For the officers, it's a 2-day class on field-based reporting, which is basically telling them how to tell the story. And in the past, we had pre-formatted narratives that pretty much walked them through everything. We don't have that anymore. The narratives are free-flowing. They have to be able, it was a dark, stormy night, and they tell the story exactly and include the elements of the offense. But it's much more specific in relating people and places and times to everything. There's, the fields on persons and locations and vehicles are much more robust than they were in the past. And when it goes to RMS, which is the records management system, I said 2 days for field-based reporting. The detectives had to go to records management class. That was a 4-day class. 2 days on field-based reporting, 2 days on case management. Because now all their cases are stored electronically in the system. They can scan anything in there. It becomes a part of the case. And then theoretically, when it's all said and done and they type up all their stuff, their prosecution reports and everything, it goes to legal. Legal gives it the electronic approval, And then at some point in time, that'll all be transferred electronically to the county, who will say, we got it, and go forward from there.
I've been told there's actually 700 unprocessed reports.
As of right now, right before I came in here, it's just under, or just over 800.
Was the training mandatory for the officers?
Yes.
Just over 800, that means the review process, you have to review to make sure you can send it on?
Yes.
So if I arrested somebody right now, I'd be at the bottom of that 800 until it gets filtered down to me?
Actually, it would go as the officer went to the jail and said, hey, I need this approved, they would pull up that individual case number, and then that jail sergeant would approve it. If it involved an offense, like a Part 1 offense, staff review would have to look at it first, but it would be bumped up in priority at staff review because there's a prisoner attached to it. So that's how we do that priority. To get if it's a BMV with no suspect information or something like that, it's going to wait. And it might be there, tomorrow. But as it is, like right now, our biggest backlog is today and yesterday. Other than that, we don't have hardly anything in the queue, other than stuff we've sent back to officers for them to fix. And if we sent it back to them on Monday to fix, and they were off Tuesday and Wednesday, they're just getting to it today. And then it'll come back tomorrow, but it'll show up as an offense from the 3rd or from the 1st of the week. But we're whittling away at it as fast as we can.
Did all officers, you said it was mandatory, but did all officers actually complete the training?
I doubt it. It was difficult. We could not keep up with who did and who didn't go. We just held the classes every week for the last year and a half, 2 years. And then the last 6 months we did basically all the RMS with the detectives. And then we did some classes with staff review, legal, UCR unit, and some others.
You mentioned the practice environment.
Yes, the whole time after every student went to class, they were told that on their desktop they could pull up, there's a practice, it's called field-based reporting practice. They could pull that up, they could type in reports. Everybody was encouraged to try to do a report a week in that system. Then that practice system created practice cases for detectives to practice on and staff review to practice on, and it was not utilized very well, which is probably one of the reasons why people were startled when it came back up again. But that environment was there for them to practice in.
Yeah, because some told me that they hadn't had training in 18 months on this and they can't remember.
That's possible. And it's, when I came on, we were handwriting reports. And then within a couple of years, we were calling in certain reports to direct entry clerks, and we were dictating them over the phone. And then after that, we were dictating all reports over the phone. And then we started, when computers started being in cars, or in the first terminals, you had limited reports you could enter where you were limited to 60 lines of information, then 80 lines of information. Then we went to a data terminal, and now a whole computer system is in the car now. So it has progressed little by little over the years, and this system that we have replaces the mainframe that the department has relied on for over 40 years. So we're looking at a 40-year-old antiquated system is being replaced by a hugely robust system that it's going to take officers a while to get a handle on.